So, the first thing is to stop trying to build a new life chapter while carrying the same old bad habits. If you want a new story, you need new good habits. Period.
I used to start every new year like many people, carrying a heavy backpack filled with ambitions and a long list of goals. I found myself following my goal list so many times, so eventually realized that I focused on the wrong thing right from the beginning. Life is like a movie made from everyday scenes, and your habits are one of the main characters. If you want a better story every year, you've got to start changing the scenes you repeat every single day. So, before writing down any New Year resolutions, I always start with this: understanding the bad habits I want to let go of and the good one to build. This is our first step. Every habit, good or bad, follows the same loop: cue, actions, reward. It's like a tiny automatic program running in your brain. There's always something that starts the loop, a cue that signals your brain that, hey, it's time for your favorite habit. And for me, one of the most obvious cues is the uncomfortable feeling when I face a tough work task, and it triggered my habit of checking my phone just to release the tensions and grab a quick hit of dopamine as the reward. If you pause for a second, you realize that bad habits always start with something uncomfortable and ends with something rewarding. You snack when you're bored to feel better. You open Netflix when you feel lonely to feel entertained and less alone. You buy things online when you're stressed to get a temporary mood boost. Habits don't appear out of thin air. They grow around whatever cues or emotions you feed them. Your environment, your feelings, even a sound or smell, all of them can trigger the loop to start again. I know the first thing we often think of as a solution is to completely delete this bad habit from our life, but you might have noticed already that doesn't last long. I once tried putting my phone in another room while working, just to stop myself from reaching for it when I was stressed. It worked for a while until I caught myself scrolling again right before a meeting. Oh my god, classic. Recently, I started to dig deeper into psychology and have learned something super cool. Psychologists say that to win this game, the key isn't to completely delete your bad habits. It is to replace them. You can't just delete habits from the cue, habit, reward cycle because your brain still remembers the trigger and still craves for the reward itself. Because of that, you still need to feed it, but with something better. So now, when that work tensions creeps in again, I turn on my favorite playlist and dance around the house for a minute, or more sometimes. Life feels good again, and the stress slowly fades. Same cue, same reward, just a different habit. That's how we stop repeating the bad habits in our lives. Now we know how to replace bad habits with better ones, but how about adding a completely new good habit to our agenda? Every year, I swear about 80% of people who set New Year goals will include at least one new habit. Yeah. I'm joking, obviously. This is not even a real statistic, but you get the idea, right? So everyone struggles with building habits, and maybe that's why there are so many books out there about this topic. And my favorite one is this book, Atomic Habit by James Clear. If you haven't this book yet, then I highly recommend it. But I know, I will be honest, that there's many people who give up on building habits before they even finish this book. So to save your time, I can summarize the whole ideas of this book into 2 sentences. Willpower is never enough for you to build any habit. You can start by motivation, but you sustain by a good system. Don't be surprised if taking on something new requires you to change your environment a little. Just remember, if your old setup didn't nurture the habits you want, it never will. I used to keep my supplements neatly stored in a kitchen cabinet because, aesthetics. Everything looked organized and clean, except I barely look at them. And of course, my mom wasn't happy about that. So I moved the supplements from the cabinet to somewhere I couldn't ignore, my dining table. I also stacked the new habit onto one that already exists to make the queue clearer. First, I bring a cup of water with my breakfast, so I don't have to get up later. Once I start eating, my right hand naturally reaches for the supplements bottles. Sometimes I even play with them while eating. And when I finish breakfast, left hand, a cup of water, right hand, supplements. Boom, I take them. Already start my day with a win. So remember to build a system. Change environments, make it clear, make it easier, and you have a stacking.
But how's about relapse?
Well, relapse itself is actually not the problem. But thinking relapse equals failures, that's the problem. Life is unpredictable. Things happen, plans fall apart, and someday you might find yourself break your good habit streak and go back to the bad one. But that's just part of a long-term journey. You should retrain your brain to understand that building good habits is never perfect. And you should never aim or try to be 10 out of 10 every single day. You know what's better and even more realistic than perfectionism? Messy consistency. In the end, we build good habits because we want to change our life. We want to shape our daily rhythm to look better, to feel better, and whether we plan it or not, that change always comes with a shift in who we are. But here's the thing, identity change doesn't happen after the habits are formed. It starts before you even begin. I have been going to the gym for nearly 8 years now. People often ask me, how do I stay so consistent? And my answer is always the same. I see myself as a gymmer, someone who lives an active lifestyle. When I first started, honestly, I have to fix that identity a little bit because going to the gym after classes didn't come naturally to me. Like, I have never done that before. But in the back of my mind and in every conversation with others, I tried to think that I'm a gymmer. When you identify yourself or you start thinking of yourself in that way, somehow, naturally, you act in alignment with it. On the days when my old habits tried to pull me back, that identity became my compass. It reminded me who I wanted to be, not just what I wanted to do. Even when my streak broke, I came back quickly and easily because at that point, the habit wasn't just something I did. It is who I am. So if there's only one thing you remember this video, I want it to be this one. Your identity affects your action, and your actions strengthen your identities. Honestly, I pour so much love into this video because I truly want my little sister, you, anyone watching this video right now, walk away feeling ready to act, not just like feeling inspired for a moment. You know, that's don't just go back to the comfort zone. Don't just wait for the right moment to start, because I know that more than anyone, you want a real change for yourself, for your life, and the only person can make that change or can actually make the New Year resolution work is yourself. So grab a notebook or anything you have, like a paper, and you can write down or draw a 4-column table: kill, habits, reward, and action. You should think about or like list out all the habits you have, the good one to keep, the bad one to replace, and also think about the good habits, the new one you want to adopt. By the end of this exercise, you will look at the first draft of your New Year plan, of the one that will actually bring you closer to the version that you want to be, not just like some long list of New Year goals, you know? And now we are ready for step 2.